Hello, traders. I want to talk to you about today's reversal patterns. We'll talk about crude oil first. Okay. So this is crude oil's open. It pushed down a little bit, left these lows, and then it just started running. Now, I didn't catch this first part of the move, but I got involved right here where you can see I was thinking, okay, here's our breaker. If we're coming back down, it's going to come down below here. And I was watching really closely. This wick didn't even come down that far, making a higher low and then ripped away with a whole bunch of fair value gaps. So I jumped in here and then I ended up taking it off at 65.50. Of course, it continued up and I was like, well, maybe I should get back in, but I didn't. I said, once it gets above this high, because you can see on a bigger time frame, that's the high that I had marked out right there. I was a little off on my line, and we exceeded it quite a bit. But once you get up there, we put up a little consolidation. These are the highs. When they're flat like that, I'm always nervous about them because there's not a clear higher high. But it is higher than this one, so I'll mark that out as a potential breaker. And I was also keeping an eye on this one since those are so close together. And of course, we pushed down and we left this liquidity right here, went back up and failed to make a new high, and then pulled away with a fair value gap. So I ended up getting involved probably right there on that candle. And I just put my take profit down here at 65. As it went down, I added a little bit and ended up making about $800, $750, I think, on that trade right there. Zippity doo dah day. And once we got down here, it did put up another reversal and went back to that high again, but it was a little choppy. It just took out this the low of the day right there, and this will be our breaker to the upside, the last up close candle before the rundown. And so we got up above it, pushed back down, made a higher low, and then we went and ran that liquidity. That was an easy grab. I didn't. I think I got it. I tried to get a few points out of that, but I was real nervous because when I make money early on, I don't like to lose it later. So I didn't really pay that much attention to it. That's what happened in crude. Let's look at MNQ. All right. So with MNQ, the big move was at the open. If you traded Asia last night at all, you saw a similar thing happen. But Asia actually came all the way back to where it started. So there's a little bit of ambiguity with this. It was kind of making me feel uneasy. That's when I started watching crude because NQ was opening well below its settlement, and ES was opening above its settlement. And that was kind of weird to me. I was like, that doesn't make sense. But usually they'll be relatively close. So if one's above settlement, the other one will be also above settlement. And then we had this giant first candle, so 60 points or something like that. And that kind of bothered me. And I was like, man, this is going to be a volatile son of a gun. Yeah, 46 point first candle. Okay, so then this is what I've started doing as to catch this first run because it's usually good for at least 70 points. Is I will mark out the high and the low of the first 1 minute candle of the day. I don't have RTH on. Let me switch it to RTH. There we go. With that crude oil, I was not looking at it as RTH. Okay, so that's where we settled yesterday. 315 candle, stop there. And so I view this as high breaker, low breaker, bullish. So we go above that, that's bullish. We get a fair value gap above it. I go long, I can usually get 70 points. And then this, if we go below it, I consider that to be our bearish breaker. If we get a fair value gap below it, I go short. I can usually get 70 points. So that's what I was trying for today. And of course, we did break below it. I don't see a fair value gap there, not one there, but then there was a small one right here, followed by a bigger one. And I just jumped in because it was just ripping. And actually, I didn't take the trade on NQ because it's so crazy and choppy. But I was using it as kind of a guide. But here we come back up, we make a lower high, and then if you hadn't gotten in right here already, this was your get in spot right there. And then there were several levels you could aim down here. There were 4 hour lows all the way down through here. And then we ended up coming and taking out this 4 hour regular trading hour low. And then there's a gap fill that I thought might fill, but it didn't. And once we got this 4 hour RTH low, look what happened. That's our breaker. We rip higher, never even come back down to the breaker. You could enter there for a run to here. And I did with just 1 micro, but I did get it. There's a short little reversal right here that just came and tried to take out those lows and failed, indicating that we were going higher again. But then we'd just been chopping the rest of the day. But the big move was definitely this one. And I did not catch a lot of it. I was in on that crude trade. I did catch a little bit of it on MES, and I think I made a couple of hundred. All total for the day, I was up a little over $1,000 on 5 accounts, which ain't too bad. Ain't too bad at all. So let's look at ES here. Same kind of a scenario. It opened above settlement. So it had the whole 70% fill the gap rule. And, the breaker here, it never even got touched, never got visited. The high of this opening range candle never even got visited, but it was large. We tried to push higher here, failed, broke away with a fair value gap, went to settlement, tried to push higher again, failed. And then we chopped right here for about 5 minutes. That was the nervous time. I went ahead and got in there and sold it short. And I just aimed for right here. And that's where I killed it. I left a whole lot on the table there. You can see I marked this breaker thinking, okay, if we validate that, then we're going back to settlement. But we, of course, did not validate it. I think I might have went ahead when we didn't validate that. I went ahead and got back in here on a short, but then killed it in this chop. It wasn't much money because I'm trading micros. But you can see I left a lot of money on the table there. Had I held that original short a little bit longer, but when you get those 4 hour lows, that is a lot of times a reversal point. I don't think there was even another one here. I mean, we're kind of in blue sky territory at that point. This is a daily low. There may have been a 4 hour low right here, but there was a little gap right here. And we did fill that gap with ES and then started going back up. And we've been going back up ever since we filled it. So I had that marked on here as gap fill. I remember having it on there. And that's what we wanted. And I think we took out these lows as well and then straight back up. We haven't taken back the entire move of the day, but we took back quite a bit of it, at least half of it. So very nice. That's the way you can get in on that first move. Mark out that first candle and use the high and the low of it as your breaker, because it is running liquidity here. The pre-market high was a little bit higher up. It never even revisited it. It may have got it on that wick, because pre-market high was just like a 5 point range. It wasn't very much pre-market for ES at all. But yeah, that's a good way to get in right there. That's the first presentation fair value gap there. We don't even revisit. I mean, that's showing major weakness. Getting in at the top of that consolidation would be good, but when it pulls away here, definitely just mark it in and hold on tight. You're good to at least that low. See, I think that was the low from yesterday afternoon, right there, from all the MOC stuff right there. And we blew through that like it wasn't even an issue. And there's a reversal pattern at the bottom. Last up close candle, rip through it, respect all those fair value gaps. I mean, that's as low as we got. We didn't come back down to it. I do like to see that. I wanted it to make a hard push back down. And it did come down. This candle's 15 points. That's pretty good. Took out the low of the range. Next one is a higher low. And so you could just get in right there and then just aim for those highs. And you would have got them. Very nice, very easy. These patterns show up every day, whether it's crude, gold, NQ, ES, the Japanese yen. It doesn't matter. These patterns show up every day. And if they're not showing up in the asset you're currently trading, maybe look for them in a different asset. That crude trade's what made my whole day. I was very confident in it going where I expected it to go, and I was able to hold it. I could have made a lot of money on ES or NQ as well, but they're choppy sometimes. They're hard to stay in a trade with a $50 or $100 stop loss, but it is doable, especially in this situation. I didn't know where we were going after we hit that, so I was like, oh, I'm going to look at crude. I guess that's it for today. Hope y'all made some money today. Let me know in the comments how much you made, if you did make any. If you didn't, I'm sorry. You'll get it one of these days. I did do a good job once I